Hey, everybody. Welcome.
Oh, wow.
This is Ask the Experts number 3, and we have a special guest with us, our yoga instructor, Keith, and I'm going to say it wrong, Partington. I don't think I've ever said your last name before.
That's perfect. You're the
Cool.
only one that ever says it right first time. Thank you.
Nice.
Perfect.
What do you usually get?
Partington is the number one go-to. Partington, which is not
Partington.
correct. There's a T in there. Partington.
Yeah.
So it's really just as it's spelled, isn't it? So
Yeah.
thank you,
Chalk
Susan.
one up for me. Well, our highlight this month is one mindful moment, and we're going to go around real quick, and everyone's going to explain what they do to maybe take 5 minutes to be mindful during the day, or whatever it is that you do to reset or calm yourself, or any practice that you do that just kind of helps you reset yourself and calm down, unwind. So let's start with Kim down there in Wisconsin.
There's a big semi just passed. You can hear that. Yeah, so I think for me, one thing that I do when I get super anxious or overwhelmed or falling into some of those habitual feelings, we'll call them, is first I break it up into 2 parts. And the first part is I just try to find things to be grateful for, whether it's 5 things and list them out, or 1 or 2 bigger things, and really just kind of live in those moments. And then the second thing I do, once I kind of like, all right, that's been able to give me a breath, then I like to make a plan. It could be a plan for the day, it could be a plan for the next hour. And I feel like that focuses my attention, and it makes me feel productive, because if I can check that thing off, or those couple of things off, I can recenter myself and move forward.
Nice. Yeah, I'm with you on the organization.
Yeah. But I feel like the calming breath of gratitude, then sometimes if you're like, no, I just got to keep going, then you're just rotating in that zone, and you never let it go. So first breath, then movement.
Yes. Nice. Well said. Carissa.
I like to put on some sort of yoga or meditation music, and just take some deep breaths and just keep going, I guess you could say. Just listen to the music. If I have a chance to get out and go for a walk and just be outside with nature, I think that's really helpful. At nighttime, I do like to play, I have a meditation mindful app that's more or less just raindrops, or it could be a waterfall. And I like to play that at night as well, before I go to sleep. Maybe I'll set it for 2 hours, or maybe I'll just let it play for the whole entire evening, or the whole entire night, I should say. I feel like that helps me get to a deeper sleep position there.
What was the name of the app?
I think it's called Meditation and Mindfulness.
Meditation Mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have any apps that they use? Any recommendations? I know there are more and more meditation apps out there. Sam Harris has a good one. I think it's called what's his Waking Up, or that might be his podcast. Calm, Headspace. What else is there? Anything that's, have you guys tried any of those, or?
I put on my favorite Spotify playlist and just dance it out sometimes.
The guy's voice from Headspace is made for meditation and calmness, which is why, Keith, we've invited you, because I feel Keith's voice also elicits that.
Thank you so much, Nick.
And I did
That's
a really
part of what they teach you. Yeah. when you become a yoga teacher.
for voice lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
I did a really bad job of introducing this session here. I think I got cut up on your name, Keith, but Keith is going to lead us through a 5-minute meditation with intention after we finish here. So make sure you stay through the end and take part in that.
Indeed.
All right, we'll go over to Peter.
All right. So kind of going off what Carissa said, I like to do my meditation or take a minute in nature. What I typically like to do is either in the morning or early afternoon, I like to just go outside, and where I live in Westchester, it's pretty quiet. So I kind of like to go deep into the backyard and just kind of sit, close my eyes, take a couple of deep breaths and just kind of listen to what's going on and just kind of chill out for like 20 to 30 minutes. And I find like that usually kind of brings me down or kind of prepares me for the day. And kind of opposite to that, if it's late at night, all these thoughts are going around about what's going to happen tomorrow or in the next couple of days. It's going to sound weird, but around 11, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes I'll go for a run. And where I live, it's pretty quiet, so it's just kind of yourself in the road, and it's very peaceful for me. So that's kind of what I like to do. And since I'm moving to New York City, I'm gonna have to figure out a quiet places to go to, but we'll see what happens.
Peter,
people do that here. You see people running 11 o'clock at night, and it's very peaceful on a weeknight.
I was gonna say I couldn't agree with you more, Peter. Running at night to me is so satisfying.
Right. It's amazing.
Because I feel like running during the morning is like amping you up. Like I'm not trying to, it amps me up. There's a day ahead of, me. Running at night, I also agree with that. Although you have to make sure you come back calm, because then you're kind of jacked up, right?
Make sure you don't get hit by a car. Wear bright clothing. That's the trick to running at night.
Yeah.
Do you think that you run better when it's dark out? And by better, I mean, do you think that you feel better when you're running, like you're running faster, you have a better time?
I've, to be honest, I've never tracked my time when I've run at night, just because, but yes, I totally agree with that. It's kind of like, you could call it a runner's high or whatever you like to call it. But when you get in the zone at night and it's just, like you said, you just feel quick. You just feel real quick. I'd absolutely say there's definitely some truth to that.
Nick, have you experienced that too?
Yeah, easily. And I think it's because you don't actually see where you're going. Like you just, I feel like I'm going so fast, but if you see it, you're seeing the same home that hasn't really moved, so much. So you lack that context. So you're actually running with feeling.
Yeah. And there's, when you're running in daylight and you can see like, okay, I have to go so far still to get to this point, that's completely taken from you. And I think there's some sort of mental thing behind that. I'm not sure if anybody's done a study on this before, but I think there might be some truth to that.
I think we're scientists.
Yeah, I think we should figure it out.
Now that I've been running for this entire pandemic, I am kind of jealous of these nighttime runs, though. I don't feel like I would ever feel safe enough to do that in the city as a woman, but or in the country, because there are bears here, and so not really an option there either. But that does sound very pleasant, because I'm very much I don't want to see where I'm going, or like other people are around, which like there's nobody around here in the country, but yeah, I'm jealous of those nighttime runs, guys.
Yeah,
you need like some like nightshades, just blacken everything out.
Like mace. Oh yeah, that's actually good. Nighttime shades. Hopefully I can still see or something.
All right, let's go up to Nick.
Oh wait, hold on. I have a funny story. So to add to those bears. So even in Westchester, about like 3 years ago, I was going for a run, and kind of like what you said, it's completely dark, except this one road has this one lamp light that just kind of shines through, and I was running along, and then as I get right up to the light, coyote walks into the light, and I can attest that is definitely the fastest I've ever run. So maybe there is some truth to that, that fast night running.
It's like the meme, I don't run unless I'm being chased by a coyote. Like Peter's picture.
Aren't they faster though? Aren't they faster than you? That's scary.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain most animals like that, you're not supposed to turn your back and run.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did.
Peter's
and I
words.
live to tell about it.
Peter's words of wisdom. That'll be next week's. So I'm not going to belabor the running point, although that does bring me some peace. I and you guys could probably attest this with those that I share an office with. I clean, I organize. So yeah. I actually think like my first week at Hearst, and I don't know, Chris, if you remember this, I was like in the there's like these old storage areas in our office, and I was like organizing where the staplers were, where all the extra markers are. And in my haste of organizing things to, I guess, build structure and control, little did I know I was moving Mimi stuff all over the place, which was causing an uproar. So that was the opposite goal. But I think when I clean and I organize things, I guess when you get stressed out, it's something that you're lacking control of, and you lack the ability to absolutely have total autonomy over something. So when I clean or when I organize, first off, I'm very visual. So if things look orderly, then I could organize my thoughts better. Sometimes when I see a mess, I just feel like I'm going to forget something, and I am forgetful. So yeah, I like you others, organizing things helps me organize my thoughts, which helps me kind of just mentally take a breather.
Mhm. Nice.
Nice.
Let's go down to Keith.
All right, this is it. I'm on.
You're on.
All right. So I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. So, you know, the stock answer to these kinds of questions when it comes to yoga is let's meditate. We should meditate. And meditation is often framed as clearing the mind of all thoughts, which I think is this hugely ambitious endeavor and probably does more harm than good if that's what our actual intention is to have our mind clear of thoughts. A better way of going about it is give the mind something very compelling and yet very simple to do, and then the thoughts that are normally spinning around in our head tend to just fall away. And so that's a much better way of looking at meditation rather than sitting down and going, okay, I'm going to stop thinking, I'm going to clear my thoughts. It just doesn't work, you know? So we have to give the mind something to do. So if you're ever looking for something that is the simplest way in possible, I think that anytime you can just take your focus solely to your breath, you're winning. So you could listen to your breath. You could visualize your breath, the path that it's making as it moves through your body, or you could even hear your breath and you can just simply listen to it. So that's going to work very well. And so that's my quick answer to how we can start to get into a meditation practice. The best time to meditate, by the way, by far, is when you wake up in the morning. First thing, don't look at your phone, don't turn on TV or radio, try not to talk to anybody. Just first thing, because then you've just come out of your dream state, and also you're not yet full of like, what do I have to do today and what's next, and I can't believe someone wrote that way. That seems like they're agitated with me, and so why I'm doing my best, and so what's their problem, you know? And all that stuff starts as soon as we start to engage with our world that is our, you know, in the immediate. So if you want to really get a meditation practice going that is very quick, all you really need to do is get up, pee, splash some water on your face, sit down, eyes closed. That's it. That's the entire list. Just try to sit for a few minutes each day, and really remarkable things will come from that. And they will actually probably just come through the back door rather than you deciding, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm meditating, and was it successful or was it not successful? Because if we're judging it like that, we're still thinking, we're still occupied with our thoughts. Setting that aside, some people really like to have a little bit more to grab onto when they are beginning a meditation practice, and I completely understand that. It also helps, I think, to realize that what we're doing when we meditate is we're really planting a seed in, let's call it the universe, or we're planting a seed in universal consciousness. And that's a very productive thing to do. That's an action we can take. That's not an abstract where we're thinking of, okay, am I meditating now? Did I meditate? Which is very general and not very useful. So taking real action is going to be something that I think feels very empowering and feels very calming at the same time, because a lot of times the things that we're stressed out about that cause us to lean into something like a yoga practice or desire to meditate or desire to seek out a meditation app, these sorts of things feel out of our control and they feel very stressful, partly because we don't know how to control them. So if we can take some sort of an action, I think that immediately just having taken an action, we feel a lot better. And so when we do this meditation, which we're about to do, by the way, and it is going to be very short, it is going to be confined to about 5 minutes. I just want to explain something first before we get into it so that, again, the thinking has been done for us and hopefully we can just get right down to it. And that's my problem though, so we will get right down to it. So the thing is that there are energetic centers in the body, and this can maybe seem like hard to accept if you're not a yogi or if you don't identify as a yogi. But I would argue that we all know exactly what these things are. So there's chakra systems in the body, and chakra simply means an energetic center. And we already, all of us, everyone knows a few of them very, very well. Like for instance, there's one in your there's one that's known as, I should say, the solar plexus, which is right in your belly. And that's where our fight or flight instinct resides. And also, you know, we talk about having a feeling in our gut, or I had a gut feeling. So that's what we're all referring to, that fight or flight center in the body. And what about the heart? That's another chakra, the heart. So when we feel love or when we feel heartbroken, we tend to identify that as being in this spot here. And that's, everybody is aware of that. There's also a throat chakra. This is related to how we communicate. And then there is our sacral chakra, which is located where your sacrum is. And that tends to be where we can carry past traumas that can kind of be blockages and get in our way. We have a chakra down at the very root of the body at the perineum. And this is related to whether or not we feel grounded. So all of these things I think are actually really sensible and really instinctual. And we're aware of them already, even if we don't know that we're aware of them. So here's what I'm getting at. There's one right here, and this is known in New Age parlance as your third eye. Whatever you might think of that concept of having a third eye, this is where your intuition resides, right here. This is where your intuition is. And in yoga, we think of intuition as a higher state of consciousness than our intelligence. Like we use our intelligence for survival. We use it to learn things and figure out how to move through the world. And we also tend to think through problems. Now, we can be more or less successful at that, of course, but either way, that's what we normally rely on, is how can I think my way out of this problem? How can I think of a solution? But there's a higher state of consciousness than that, and that is your intuition, and it's located right here. And we'll come back to that later, okay? So let's say we want to take a little break in the middle of the day, or let's say at night, at the end of the day, we endeavor to meditate. How about we do it just like this? All right, everybody, here we go. Close your eyes, please. Sit really tall. And that's very important that you're sitting up. You're not relying on sitting against a wall or sitting back in a comfortable chair or anything like that, because you really want that chakra system that I was referring to earlier to be like an open pathway, like there's an open roadway that energy is just flowing freely through. So if you're kind of slouching or even lying down, this is not terribly conducive to that. Your eyes are closed, but they're not closed by you shutting them. They should be closed as a function of how relaxed your face is. So if you just think of that, think of how many muscles are in your face. There's so many muscles in your face. So you really, what you want is no expression on your face whatsoever. So your eyelids just feel heavy, and so does your jaw, and your tongue feels soft in your mouth. And now for just a couple of moments, let's begin to focus on our breath. So just feel it as it moves in and out of your nostrils. Feel your chest rising and falling on the inhales and the exhales. You can also feel it in your throat if you really, really pay attention to it. So that's what we're looking for. Simply an awareness of our breath as it is right in this moment. No judgment of it. No, it should be this or it should be that. Just noticing what it's doing right now. Here's the thing though. As soon as we start to focus intently on the breath begins to change, and it begins to change in the best way possible. It starts to lengthen, it starts to deepen and it starts to smooth out. So if our breath is shallow and choppy, that's an indicator that we're feeling stress. So we can change that just by changing the way that we're breathing. And we can change the way that we're breathing by simply training our awareness on it. So there's no technique. We're just focusing on it. We're just paying attention to it. So let's just keep doing that for just the next few moments. Now, let's trust that the breath is doing exactly what we would want it to be doing. Let's trust already that that has calmed the mind down and smoothed out the thoughts that are usually rambling around in our brains. Let's trust that. Now, take your attention to the spot right above the bridge of the nose, right between the eyebrows, and then just a little bit higher than that. So with your eyes closed, in your mind's eye, just look right at that spot. Simply look at it. And whatever you see, you see. Sometimes you tend to see color or some sort of form that's shifting subtly in its shape. Just keep looking right at that spot, and whatever it is you see, that is perfect. Now, start to look through that spot out into the distance. So just like that little spot is a portal or a window, just gaze out into the distance. Now, as you let your higher consciousness continue with that, let's think for a moment. Let's think about the next week. So from tonight all the way to next Thursday, the type of things that you know are going to be happening, the things you know that will be required of you, the things you hope to do, the things you want to do. Let's think about that. And now let's think of something we would like to have more of as we face those challenges or as we step up to the excitement of good things that we anticipate happening, whatever it is, anything. Let's think of what we would want more of. And then let's try to distill that down into one single word. So it could be something like courage or hope or love or strength or peace or ease, anything at all. And I would highly recommend that you go with the first thing that came to your mind and just distill that down to one single word. Now, as we gaze out into the distance through the third eye, let's see that word out ahead of us, way out in the distance, so far out into the distance that you can see easily the entire word without taking your attention from the left to the right like you usually do when you read. The word is far enough away that you can see the whole thing. And let's just look at it. Now let's notice that the word is starting to pull a little closer to us. So now we're seeing individual letters. And let's just look at the space between the first letter and the second letter. Just look at the space between the first two letters. And now let's look at the space between the second letter and the third letter. And now let's look at the space between the third letter and the fourth letter. And now let's look at the next space. Now, if you've gotten to the end of your word, just go back to the beginning. Just look at the next space. And now the next. And the next. And the next. And the next. And now notice that the word is beginning again to pull away from you. So it becomes possible again to just read the whole word. And notice that the word is getting a little bit further away. So now you can read the whole word without looking from left to right. And now see that word is getting a little further away. And now it's so small, you can only just make out what it says. And now watch it get even further away. And further away still. So now what you can see is a tiny point of light way out in the distance. And just keep looking at it. And now see that tiny point of light gets so small that it disappears altogether. And you're looking still at that exact spot and you can't see it. There's nothing, just vastness, just endless space. And now take your focus back onto your breath. Notice what it is doing. Do not try to change it. Just pay attention to it. Again, as you do that, the breath starts to animate again. It starts to grow longer, fuller. And as you just continue to pay attention to the way that you are breathing without trying to manipulate it in any way whatsoever, consider this. You have planted a seed. So as we go about the rest of our day and evening and the rest of the week, there's no need to look back on this experience or try to tend to your intention and ask whether it's serving you. That would be the same thing as planting a seed in the ground, waiting a few days, and then digging up the seed to see if it sprouted. You can't do that. You plant it, the soil was already correct, you're watering it, you leave it alone. So each time you return to just being present with the way that you are breathing, that's like you're watering it. That's like the sun shining down on the soil. That's you being really deeply in touch with the deepest part of yourself, your eternal self. Now, back to your eyelids. Let the eyelids just open a teeny, teeny, tiny bit. Just letting in a little bit of light, just a little bit, and take it in. And then let in a little bit more light. And then take in where you are, the room around you, the light quality, the things that are in the room. And then you just go about the rest of your day. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely.
How does everyone feel?
Oh boy.
I feel great.
Satisfied.
See that?
Yeah. Wow. You know
Now,
what?
Keith,
So
is this
that's the
something?
thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's the thing. Anybody can do that. And even though you've only done it one time, you can remember exactly how to do that. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Wow.
Is this something that you practice personally?
Yes, it is. It is indeed. It is indeed. So I don't think of this anymore as a daily meditation, but in the beginning, I think it works really well as a daily meditation. You could do the same exercise thinking just about the day ahead, nothing else, just today, right? And as you get a little more used to this and you get a little more in touch, let's say, with yourself, rather than like your identity, your job, your name, your past experiences, what your parents taught you, et cetera, that's your identity. When you get more in touch with the essence of yourself through meditative practices, I think that once a week on something like that is going to be plenty, because you'll be sort of thinking in a longer view of your life, forward and in the past. And so once a week would be probably the ideal then. And then your daily meditation can simply be, like I said earlier, wake up in the morning, do the minimum amount of activity, go to the bathroom, maybe splash some water on your face, sit down, just sit, just focus on your breath, and that's it. Let what comes. And then that would be your daily meditation practice.
And just like that, Susan, I know you want to say something. I'm sorry. I think we have like 20 seconds left.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yes, thank you, Keith. And I don't know if you want to wrap this up, Susan, but this has been an amazing experience for me. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you, Keith. If anyone has any questions, Keith is on Instagram at, what is it?
At the Keith Partington.
Yes, and he teaches yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Club